All right, welcome back to the Compound Growth Show. It's your host, John Short and Quincy Johnson, aka Quincy
Forte.
Forte.
Yep.
Um, so we have an interesting topic in store today. Kombucha, sourdough bread, and AI. What do they all have in common?
Wow, what a great intro. What a great intro.
Yeah.
Oh, so I think, yeah, run us through what they have in common. Like I'm curious now. You've piqued my interest.
Yeah. So I thought about it over the weekend, put together some of my thoughts on AI. And what we've been seeing early on is companies are frothing at the mouth to generate mounds and mounds of content using AI. And there is just no moat there for companies to differentiate themselves with the types of content they're creating, with the angle, with how they're approaching solving certain problems, which can be fine in the case of templates and some of that kind of stuff. It may be, first to get on becomes the winner. But I think the opportunity with AI is the efficiency it opens up in the content creation process, to allow you to do other things that are unique, to create add-ons for your content in the templates, in the resources, everything you're creating, and not just copy and paste or copy, edit, and paste content that's created by ChatGPT, Jasper, and Writer.com. So my thinking on this is that over the next 10 years, we'll start to see a pretty clear separation in writers. And I don't know what it will be. 20% of the top 20% of writers, the top 5% of writers, the top 1% of writers. Somebody else is going to do some mathematical analysis on that to tell me it's some power law or some law of how this is going to end up working. But my feeling is that in order to create differentiation, companies are going to need to create a mother of content, just like you have a mother of sourdough bread, or like you have a mother for kombucha. That is, what is it? It's for sourdough bread and kombucha, I imagine why they're called a mother is it's a living organism that is the basis that helps you create more sourdough bread, right? So there's like some famous place in New Orleans that makes bread, and they have a mother that has been around for like 150 years, 200, some ridiculous amount of time. And I think the same will be true with companies, where companies will need to create a strong back end of content that helps feed the LLMs to kind of help them generate more pieces of content that will go out across social, that will go out across their blog, their YouTube content, images, everything. And so I think this mother is going to require someone really talented who really understands the brand voice, who can really kind of identify the points of view that the company holds really strongly, that they can use to generate additional pieces of content. And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so you're telling me that I still have to understand my brand, and then I still have to like know who my target ICP is, like who are the target people I want to speak to, and I can't just tell AI to write me 30 blogs about demand generation.
Right. Yeah, and I think there's going to be different steps in AI, right? Eventually, from the congressional hearings we've seen, AI is going to continue to get more intelligent. Yeah. I think humans have never been good at repetitive tasks. Computers have always been really good at repetitive tasks.
Yeah.
I think long term, I can't tell you what's going to happen with AI in the, or even short term. But in the short term, my guess would be that we're going to see like stage one of the rise of artificial intelligence, where it's kind of built on top of currently existing tools, right?
Yep.
And then phase two could be, who knows? AI is going to build its own companies and, you know, go its way. But I think the thing that humans bring to the humans bring, I'm struggling a little bit today. The thing that humans bring to a company, to execution, is the creativity and the different points of view that are going to be needed in order to make them differentiated, in order to make their product special, in order to make their content unique. And they're going to need to feed the AI information about their product, about their perspectives, et cetera. And so I kind of imagine that being a, you know, giant library of content that sits in the back end, maybe never even sees, you know, the actual customer. Maybe it's all used to feed LLMs, in which case a company like Jasper, Writer, or ChatGPT are leveraging that content to figure out what to generate on what channels and distribute that across all those different channels. Or humans are then prompting it to say, hey, we need a social post for XYZ today. And we're starting to see it. I use a tool called Automata. That has allowed me to build a content library in the back end. For a long time, my strategy with LinkedIn has, and with this podcast, has been to build a mother of content that then I could manually go in and use. But I'm starting to get excited by the prospect of AI being able to parse that information and write content in my voice with my perspectives and in the tone that I like to use.
Well, and I think the other things that I'm pulling out of that is like the human element is AI is never going to be as agile and as flexible like as human beings are, right? Like, so we're able to
never say never.
Well, yes, we're not to Skynet yet, but like right now, like it's not agile, and so there's still always going to be a human element. And I think the other thing that's really interesting is I don't know definitively if creativity like can exist outside of sentient beings, right? So there's this cognitive process that we have to like build on specific elements of creativity, understand human psychology and things like that. And until like AI gets to that point, like maybe it's like reading our minds and it's able to like be creative. I think there's still going to be there's going to be a need for that, like that human touch on the content to like shape it and like paint this beautiful picture, right?
Because that is where, I mean, the like ChatGPT, all these tools are learning based off of content that it's been fed, right? All the different models that they've come out with, GPT-3, GPT-4, they all have been crawling the internet, crawling various resources in order to come up with the ideas of the content that it's going to be creating. So ultimately, you would imagine that AI will push us to continually work to be one step ahead of where the computers are and coming up with new, unique innovations that could not have been thought up by a computer. Because the models should be somewhat finite in their ability to project into the future, because most of it is based off of content that has been created in the past.
Yeah, and it's really funny. So this is a Star Trek reference for all the Trekkies out there. But like Data, who is a robot on like Star Trek, like he could paint like whatever you wanted from any Renaissance period and things like that, or he could like recreate or play any musical composition, like note for note. But like the feeling wasn't there. Like he didn't have the emotion to understand like the feelings that went into playing the thing. It was just, hey, I'm just putting this thing out there because I like mimicked things that I saw. And so that's how I look at it right now.
Yeah. And I like, I haven't gone deep on the research. I watched some of the congressional hearings. I will be the first to admit I am not the expert on actual artificial intelligence. I'm mostly looking to figure out how I can use it from a strategic perspective. And my feeling is that this can be a vessel for us to move quicker with the content we're creating. So I see a world where marketing has training data that it's using. This can come from data augmentation partners, from for like first party web analytics that we have on users, and then this mother of content. You then have your data management platform, which is a CRM, your database of record, and then the mother content plus all the data you have on users helps you to feed the right content to the right user at the right time. So a mother of content could help you build a custom trial flow for every single new user who comes in through your site.
Yeah.
So if somebody came in from Ford.com, the CEO of Ford.com came in, signed up for a trial of your product, and your product knows that it's the CEO, they come from Ford.com, they are looking to use your product for XYZ a reason, custom content can be created to help them figure out how to use your product for an enterprise use case, for, provide case studies of other car companies that have previously used the product, all kind of on the fly. And you could imagine if you're getting thousands of trials every day, each iteration, like there would be different iterations for each different trial that came in, because all the data that system is going to get is slightly different. So the use case may be different. The features that you want that user to be using could be different. And so I think that mother plus all the data, that mother of content plus all the other data you have will allow you to generate tons and tons and tons of content. And I think it will be, for marketers, a key differentiator across advertising, content, email, social, all the places where you have customer facing interactions.
That's great. And I think that people should go back and listen to the good data and then data triangulation episodes, because they're like having that good data into your system, like making sure that's all set up properly to help this machine is like super important. But I think the other thing out of that, I think that's really good that you said, like being able to automate kind of this content creation and custom tailor messaging is especially good for like ABM motions and things like that. But even if you're doing basic persona segmentation work, like we've used it here, where prompting to help generate content that's geared towards specific personas, like somebody who is a financial CFO, analytical minded, like help me shape this messaging so that it speaks to somebody who is analytical, who is like a CFO or whatever. And so we've been seeing pretty good success kind of with utilizing AI in that sense.
Yeah, and Jasper.com today just launched their campaigns feature that kind of is similar to what we're talking about here, where you can create content and then multiple iterations of that content to be used across email, social, other content platforms. So it's really interesting, but that's our bet at CGM. I mean, this isn't happening overnight. The need, like, having better data just allows you to move quicker. Even today, right? You can send like the feedback that you can pass to ad networks, the data that you can provide on who you're trying to target, and helps Google generate ad copy for you. They've been playing around with dynamic ads for a long time. And so I think we're just looking at the new capabilities that are available to generate that at scale across multiple channels, not just ad networks. And this is an area where ad networks have kind of been ahead to an extent. They haven't really leveraged AI, but they are like have massive learning systems to understand the types of leads that you want, help you figure out how to get in front of them. And so the data that you've had the higher quality data that you've had has helped you to move quicker and be more effective in advertising. Clean data also helps you get email campaigns off the ground, or campaigns to your database off the ground, a lot quicker. And I just think the need for the accuracy of that data is going to create such a step change between the companies that have clean data, can feed their system, their automation systems, and their algorithms they have, plus artificial intelligence, is going to be such a differentiator for the companies, because they're going to be able to move so much quicker when the cost to create new content starts to go down close to zero, and you can create a custom message for every user. I even think that web content personalization, like Optimizely, SiteSpec, some of the other platforms like that will become interesting, where each version of your website will be able to be catered to the user who comes on based on the pages that they've previously looked at and the information that we know about those users. So I think it will get really interesting, but we're betting big on clean data here.
Yeah, and I want to say the other thing, if you scroll through the past episodes, when Web3 first came out, like, we were not big on Web3. We didn't know what to think about it, but I think that our stance on AI is like pretty solid, based on like the benefits that it could have to marketers. I think the Marketing Cartoonist had an amazing image. If you're subscribed to the Marketing Cartoonist,
No.
where he had an engineer who was like, I can totally get rid of like my team and scale down my team just because I have AI. And he's like, this is what it'll like for my org. And then somebody was like, how about we start here? And they like crossed him off of the org charts, because you can't get rid of people, like, even though you're utilizing AI. Like, I don't think it's an opportunity for you to slash. I think it's an opportunity to figure out how it works in your day-to-day strategy. I think that's the goal.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've come across this many times throughout history, looking at like the industrial era, the Industrial Revolution, sorry, where machines came into place. Humans were worried about getting replaced by the machines. If you go back and watch, I think I talked to you about this, but Downton Abbey, in the show, like, one of the subplots in the show is that the wait staff for the house, they're all worried that these new appliances, like I don't know if a microwave, but like a washing machine, dishwasher, maybe an oven, they are all worried that all these things are going to replace them. And it's true, like, some of those jobs went away, but it has created the time and opportunity for humans to put their focus in other places. And so this has always been a fear of humans. I can't tell you how it's going to play out, but my hope and belief is that it would play out that way.
Yeah. And then, so I would say let's wrap it up there. With that, what's the thing, like, we've talked about how we use it for like content atomization and things like that. You talked about it for the hyper personalization. Is there anything that you're super pumped about, like, with this AI wave? Anything
Well, I
else?
want to test out the new launch that Jasper came out with. I think I'm a paying user of that product. I think it's an okay product. It's helped me develop some of my content. It's not, it doesn't knock my socks off. But I think the opportunities around content atomization and create, like, taking a core piece of content or the mother of content and figuring out how to then turn that into a Twitter post, a LinkedIn post, a blog post, a newsletter, is really interesting. And so I'm excited to kind of get in there and start playing with it.
Yeah, I think for me, it is like, I'm more like super excited about like the automation component of it, but then like how we use like some of our videos for content atomization. There's some tools out there that you can feed a video, and it's like, hey, based on the topic that you're talking about, this is most likely to generate engagement. And so I'm more excited about like how the technology stitched together and become like this super tech over time. So we're putting in this content and then we're stitching together different technologies. So that's the Martech junkie in me, to be like, how can I make all these things like fit together and make like this super product?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm excited. Thanks for talking to me about this today, Quincy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. We're gonna let Quincy Forte play us out. Check him out on Spotify. Oh, how'd the music launch go?
Music launch went really good. The song, super pumped about it. I didn't like everybody's, did you play or sing? No, I just helped co-produce. I built out harmonies and things like that, all the stuff on the back end that nobody cares about.
What is the song?
It's called Statue.
Statue on Spotify.
On Spotify. Yep.
By who?
Trey with the music.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Awesome.